Good afternoon, Lions fans, and welcome back to the Lions Den at the Walker Athletic Complex here in Demers.
Forster in that backfield as well. You've got Philip Nowak in the midfield. Danny Castro getting the nod to start here today. Davis Knight, Nico Eberhardt, short in stature but mighty with heart as well. Jacob Ossine back from his absence last time we were on air. Tanner Beam, and filling out the 11 is going to be Jackson Shirley. We are about less than a minute in. We've already got our first foul call here today, and if you hadn't noticed yet from the camera view, we are just 2 officials in. So both of those officials are going to be roaming the field. It's going to be hard to call offside, so if you're on the attacking side of your team, you kind of got to look to take advantage of the situation, maybe cheat it a little bit, but these referees know how to do their job, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure this game is played fair. But already we're going to see a free kick for the Stormy Petrels as the Lions are put on their back foot.
Yeah, just 2 officials at the moment. We are under the impression that we will have a third eventually, but as of right now, just a 2-man group, and already the Lions on the back foot in this affair. Free kick is into the box and swiftly out of the box. Don't think anyone got a touch on that as it found its way through. On that one, Parker McKnight for Oglethorpe. Oglethorpe coming in 3-1-1, and they're looking for their 4th victory of the year. Great defense for them. And historically, another team that has dominated the Lions, but the Lions this year have shown that they're ready to rewrite some history, what with their draw. And honestly, just we threw around moral victory back then, but honestly, it did feel like it versus Barry.
A great win to start off the season for the Lions, and they're trying to carry that momentum against some opponents that they've had a tough history with. And if there's one thing we know about this team, it's that they're not going to give up whether they're down 1, 2, 3, or 4 goals. So expect a lot of fight from these Lions here today.
in the backfield of the Petrels. Davis Knight along with Castro back there. They'll be the two at the top. Seen back in the midfield, as we mentioned, chasing him down right there on an unfamiliar side of the pitch is Philip Nowak. Nowak usually on the right side. Jacome off a header as the Petrels storm their way in. See what I did there?
I do like it. Always good to throw a couple puns in for the team name.
Oglethorpe measuring their way through the box. And a good block there by Nowak, and it'll roll its way out. It appears to be a corner kick for Oglethorpe. And we mentioned at the top, Oglethorpe coming in with a loaded roster. A lot of D1 transfers getting starting time here at D3 with Oglethorpe.
Not an unfamiliar situation for those D1 players to transfer out, hoping to get a couple more minutes, get a little bit more experience underneath their belt. It's always good if you find yourself, not getting the minutes you think you deserve. So credit to them for switching it up, but it's going to be a tall order for these Lions to handle such an immaculate talent on the other side of the pitch.
Corner is very long for the Petrels, and that looks like it's going to find his way out. Castro ran it down, unfortunately unable to get a touch on it, as it'll be a throw-in for Oglethorpe. Ben Alaram on the corner kick for the Stormy Petrels. Grant tries to get that out. Grant looks like he's pulled back a little bit today, playing more on the defensive side. At least that's what it looks like. Haven't really seen the Lions offense spread out on the other side of the pitch just yet. I've seen in the midfield trying to get a touch on that, but it gets past him. Now getting past Jackson Shirley. And we'll have whistles here. Didn't exactly see what the infraction was.
A little bit too much of a jersey tug there from one of the Lions. Going to result in a yellow card. That's going to be against Shirley, what it looked like. Tough start. Lions not afraid to play physical, but with two early free kicks in such dangerous positions, they're going to have to reel back a little bit. Yeah,
Jackson Shirley getting the start here. And, of course, this early on, you certainly don't want to set that precedent with the referee. It looks like the Lions are just going to have to be super cautious with these refs this afternoon.
It's always good to kind of feel out what the refs are thinking when it comes to physicality in the matchup. And with two refs, you kind of have two options. They're either going to call everything, make sure that nothing is going to get by their eyes, or they let a couple more plays slide because they know they're going to miss a couple calls. So seems to me that today we're going to have these two referees all over everything that happens.
Short free kick, and it gets past Bobby Wood and goes into the goal. And very early on, Oglethorpe has taken a 1-0 lead. And that defense, without most of their starters, already feeling the effects.
Great run in by one of the Petrels. Good short ball to let them run on top of it. And Bobby Wood, with so much ground to cover, kept the ball short and away from him, and all he could do is stretch as far as he could, but just too far wide. Good put away there to start themselves up 1-0.
So this Oglethorpe offense hasn't really had a chance to flex its muscles yet. It's really going to have to, as they knew coming in what kind of opponent they'd be facing, but now looking at them face to face, you don't want to take any more steps back. You started off the year so well versus two clubs that were not expecting this level of offense, but now waning away a little bit, just want to get back on the horse. Davis Knight looking at that one as it goes back into the backfield of the Stormy Petrels. Daniel Ama, and now good tackle there by Yassine, and whistle there. Down on the ground is Carlos Cavaro, and a yellow card has been presented to Yassine. That, goodness.
You got to take these decisions with a grain of salt, but that is egregious, if I can pardon my French a little bit, just because he got a clean tackle, got most of the ball coming on in. It wasn't behind, it wasn't getting the leg or the ankle at all. So tough break there for Yassine, who's such a physical presence. I doubt it's going to change how he plays too much, but it is definitely sending a message to these Lions early saying, hey, you do anything that is near a foul and be ready to get called on it.
And if you're the Lions at this point, how are you supposed to defend against an opponent this tough? There is only one way to defend, that's to go hard at them and just go for this ball. But already, the referee's just seemingly not allowing anything to get by. So just an unfortunate call there. The Lions will just have to be a little bit more sharp, I suppose. As the ball escapes in their backfield momentarily, Cash gets it over. And now, this one going down the line. Nowak racing for it. On it is a Ma for Oglethorpe. Knight and Beam also waiting on it. Header there by Kozine. And a trio of Lions defenders pouncing on the ball, and we'll have another whistle.
Looked to be an offsides call against the Stormy Petrels. I don't really know, to be honest with you, how they're really going to track offsides. I'm assuming it's going to be the off referee or whoever is really on their half. Kind of has to stay with that line, but a tall order for these referees to deal with such a physical matchup so far.
Collision there, and there's a whistle. And Coach Jimmy Stevens kind of threw his hands up in the air and was like, okay, so if you're going to call my guys on that, what's that supposed to be? And he does get the foul in his favor here. It appears to be Asin taking the kick. We know he likes to flex the big boot. It's into the box already. Castro waiting under it, trying to get a head on it. Cash also in the mix. It's going to escape out of the box momentarily. Danny Castro on it once more. Now Knight and Danny all over it. Jacome able to get a shin guard on it, it looks like, and Andre Grant to Cash. Cash once again trying to move his way up. Tanner Beam handling the ball well. It'll get back pass to Shirley, who back passes to Asin, who gets it over to Nico Eberhardt.
From that sequence alone, the Lions looking a little bit more connected. We didn't see a lot of that when they were playing against their last opponent. I forget exactly who it was just now, but they seem to be moving the ball a little bit better. A lot more crisp passes are coming through that midfield. So keeping on possession and making sure they have that momentum to build an attack is exactly what they need to do to start mounting a comeback.
And it's certainly worth mentioning when they faced Johnson and Wales, they were up against some very behemoth of men, as that is off a header and out on Oglethorpe. But some very tall individuals they were facing off against, but now in a little bit more even in the battle of the height, it does seem like they're able to get their sight lines a little better, find the shooting avenues, and he kind of took the thoughts right out of my head there, Simon. This does look a little bit like more of a connected attack for the Lions, just unable to find it just yet. Long goal kick there. Nowak trying to get on the other end of it. He does get a touch on it. Asin past the midfield line, gets it over to Castro. Castro racing down the right side of it, trying to win this ball away, but it's going to roll out and be a Stormy Petrel throw-in. Way back to the defense of the Lions, and Cash will hand it off to Bobby Wood. Wood, we know, is so good in that net. Unfortunately, just the defense and himself have not been on the same page the past couple of matches, including the ones at Pfeiffer. Just the defense couldn't handle the Pfeiffer attack, and especially on Johnson and Wales, where it just looked like some wires got crossed all over the place.
Absolutely. Going back to that Johnson and Wales game, just an onslaught of offense coming out by Johnson and Wales, but Bobby Wood did his best to hold his own. What the result of those 3 goals was simply miscommunication, which seems to have been solved thus far when it comes to locking down on defense just a little bit more.
A header, and it lands on the berm. I'm not sure what that was. It looked like an Oglethorpe player unsuccessfully did a front flip and tried to draw a foul.
Soccer players never afraid to try and dramatize the attack just a little bit, because playing to the ground is always a way to get a foul, even if the ball is about to be out of your possession. Good touch there by Beam, and another good touch by Eberhardt. It's over the head of Nowak, and now Knight fighting for it. We know what a spark plug he is. He's on a little bit of a breakaway. He goes for a shot, and it's wide left. First signs of life for this Lions offense. A good ball getting slipped by. Great physicality from Knight to blow past Daniel Ama on the defensive end for the Stormy Petrels. Just seemed to get a little bit uncomfortable in that one-on-one scenario, a little bit more patience, and I think he could have fired off just a bit better of a shot.
The freshman certainly has impressed this year, and now he's up there alone as Castro takes a couple steps back and plays towards the midfield line. But you saw there, just if you get Knight alone, if you get the ball to him, how much ground he can cover in such a short amount of time. He can really just shock this offense awake, and we almost had a 1-1 game there. Ama for Oglethorpe, charging near the midfield line, gets it over to Ben Alaram. Danny Castro chasing that ball down as it gets towards the left side. He's going to give away to Andre Grant. Grant now measuring, and that ball's going to find its way over to the other side of the pitch. Didn't cross out, it looks like, as Oglethorpe still battles for it. It's off the pin in the corner, and it should be a throw-in for Oglethorpe, but yes, it will be. A really good job by Nico Eberhardt to stay on that one and make sure that it wouldn't be a corner, and he was just able to direct it towards a throw-in. It looks like they're winding up for a long one. Well into the box. Tanner Beam tried to direct the head towards it, and a good clear by Nowak. Cash tried to position the body there, and he did. He blocked the sideline very well, and I thought that might find its way up to the Mai steps, but just on the bleachers up there. Normally occupied by Lions fans, but has been a little bit of a nasty weekend here in Demarest. It's a little rainy, and maybe not wanting to bet on the weather this afternoon, but down here on the pitch, a lot of fans have filled up the seats. So Bobby Wood lines up for a goal kick. And it's a long one, well across the midfield line. Asin tried to time up the header there. Knight trying to get that ball away from Ama. Knight once again, the lone Lion near the box. Bringing it out a little bit is Nicholas Mejia. That gets past Jackson Shirley. Now Grant having to get to it. And it looked like there the Lions kind of didn't expect the Petrels to drive in there that hard as they kind of slipped and tried to get to that ball. But now Knight trying to get past a little bit here, but he flicks it to Jake Locklear by accident. And it'll be in possession of the Petrels once more, as Ama is a very popular man on the right side, takes it for himself and gets it down the midfield line. Nowak racing on it. They're lining up for something as it gets into the box. Grant tried to get the header there, and Bobby Wood escapes out of the net to make the grab himself, and he gets possession of it.
The Stormy Petrels have done a fantastic job thus far being able to sort of build an attack and carve out their opportunities. They're not really making deep runs or getting in behind of this Lions defense. It's more about getting those short balls, finding that one player making a run. As here, once again, Stormy Petrels find themselves inside the 18-yard box. Shot fired, and what a goal this time. Going to be on the foot of, I believe, Nicholas Ciara. I don't know if that is exactly who it was, but an upper 90 fire with blistering pace is going to be a tough defensive effort for Bobby Wood to get a hand on, and just misses him once again.
Once again, just the defense unable to rally around that ball. It does look like there was a connected effort to try to get to it, but no heroics, and this is what happens when you don't have Mattis on there, because usually you see that tall presence of him in the box flying in and helping Bobby Wood make those saves, but unfortunately unable to be in this game today. Bobby Wood calling for his defenses to rally up as he'll put it over to James Cash.
And quick correction on the goal scorer was actually Ben Alram, who found the top right corner of that goal.
Nico Eberhardt trying to play ahead of the referees there and just get something going. Is going to be stopped as the Stormy Petrels will move their men into the defensive position. It'll be a free kick. Asin coming over is going to take this one, and we know Asin likes to get the big boot on it. We know he likes to get it into the box, but in this situation, down 2-0 early, you think he might go for a different strategy here?
Based off of how this Stormy Petrel's defense has played thus far, throwing that ball up in the air into a 50-50 just doesn't really seem like an exact answer. Jacome going to be called in the offsides. He does like to jump ahead, then cut back to that line to stay on sides, but sometimes he's just a little too eager. But to finish answering your question, I think they just got to slow down that tempo. We saw a little bit earlier in this game they were connecting through the midfield, and that was when they looked the most structured and the most solidified as a unit. But Knight now with an interception on a counterattack with Castro, going to be taken down from behind. No call here. Not exactly sure what the logic was for no whistle being blown, but regardless, Lions are going to have to rally back.
Yeah, we've talked about this officiating crew. It didn't look like either one of them were too far away from that, and just not to play the homer card too heavily. It did look as though it was snipped on the ankles of Knight as he took a tumble there. Jacome with it, gets it to Beam, and Beam a strong kick to Castro, and now Castro looking to clear it over to Knight. Pass over to Beam in the middle. Beam having to win this one, and Oglethorpe's going to steal it away. It does seem like the recipe today might be short connected passes, just trying to shuffle up this Oglethorpe defense to the point where you can find a shooting avenue that is wide open.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to using Knight as a point man, keeping him up top there. Seems to be a little bit more alone, but Eberhardt making an incredible run to Castro, who's out on the right side wing. He's going to look to swing one in, just missing the outstretched foot of Knight. Good connection there. We saw that combo in the midfield. Eberhardt, great run to cut inside. And that was their first true opportunity besides Knight's little isolated one-on-one. So Lions starting to build a bit of offensive momentum here.
Yes, they are. And like we said, it's just those short passes in between each other, just getting to each Lion and finding their way up. As that's a throw in by Oglethorpe. On that one is Nowak and Shirley, and that'll be out once more. 28-27 left in the first half. If you're just joining us, Eric Edmondson, Simon Johnstone with you, our camera operator, Grant Prather out on the balcony, where Oglethorpe has taken an early 2-0 lead, and the Lions looking to fight back to avoid a 3-game losing streak.
Castro now on the right side wing. Good even numbers on the offensive attack. Grant going to push up high. Bit of a heavy touch there. Going to be taken over by the Stormy Petrels on the left-hand sideline. And a tackle from behind, not going to warrant a call. Seems like the referees are going to lay off the whistles a little bit, let the boys play. Beam now with a lot more time in the midfield. Good job by him to slow down the attack a bit, build momentum here. Nowak swings it back out to Eberhardt. And the Lions content with keeping possession for a bit, something that we have been clamoring for the better half of this game.
Yeah, just definitely looking to slow the tempo, as you said before, and just try to build a game plan out of what Oglethorpe is handing it to them, as they will pass back to their goalkeeper. That's Nicholas Mejia in the back. A short pass over to Amah. He finds his way towards the midfield line. He's going to put it down the right side. Nowak all over it. Beam, as well as Cash in the mix, looking to battle this one away. Good job by Beam to disrupt a little bit there. Asin being aggressive, as always, trying to push his way and force the envelope. Mejia back out to Amah. Beam tried to stick a foot out in front of it to get a deflection there, but no dice on that. Shirley chasing that ball down, as well as Asin. Cash, a shove there, and definitely going to catch a foul.
Lions dropping off just a little bit when it comes to the pressure. Maybe that is a sign of them saying, okay, we're just going to try and stay in front of you. Let the numbers build up in our favor on the defensive end, because you've been able to fire off 2 shots when we're out of order. So a little bit more patience on the back line. You can see Eberhardt here just shadow tracking as a ball gets crossed in. Good hands by Wood to shut down any ball leaking out. But the Lions as a unit now just sort of sitting back, letting the ball stay in front of them and making sure that once they got numbers, that's when they start to build the aggressiveness.
Definitely would like to see that plan to fruition here, as that one's going to escape into the box. Racing on it is Oglethorpe, and that's going to get right past Bobby Wood, but thankfully it's wide. So it does appear it'll be a corner kick, if I'm not mistaken, as it went off the shin guard of a Lion. Does look like it is going to be. And it's just another corner for this Oglethorpe offense, and obviously, just seeing the game, we can tell the Stormy Petrels are just bringing a lot of pressure. And not that not that Piedmont may be unprepared here, but just really unable to contend with this offense at this moment. Seen off a header. Castro trying to grab it. Ooh, string of headers there. Nowak unable to trap it in front of him, as it'll get past him and behind. Beam making a play. Knight tried to get a foot in front of it. Obviously, Knight and Beam especially, usually Beam is a very big aggressor in this lineup, but obviously playing a little bit more cautious given the 2 yellows already presented to Piedmont.
That's absolutely right. Just having to play a little bit less aggressively, as a good tackle there could call it dangerous, but with how good of a defensive team the Lions are inside of that box, great job there to shut down what looked to be a certain shot on goal.
Really phenomenal there, as Asin watches that one get headed over. Davis looking at this one, trying to find his way in. Does appear that the Lions are ready to make a substitution. Don't see who it is, as they still have the jersey on the sideline. Asin gets a touch on that one and gets it over to Nowak. Castro back to Grant. Grant now passing midfield. On a touch is Shirley. Pass midfield here. Jackson Shirley looking to converge on that one, but it's going to get past him. Now it's up to Cash. Cash racing on it. Gets to the ball. See what he does here. Up the line and into the possession of Oglethorpe. Good tackle there by Asin. No whistle. That's good. Jason looking to find Knight. Knight unable to win the one-on-one. Now another one, and that's got to be a foul, and yes, it will be.
Fantastic agility by Asin. We're going to see a yellow card. The first for the Stormy Petrels going to be presented there. Jacob Asin, good job to keep that ball near his foot, eventually baiting in the overextended leg of the defender. And Asin now going to get himself rewarded with what looks to be about a 35, 40-yard free kick, with multiple Lions looking to make a run in here.
This could be the best opportunity the Lions have seen to this point. That yellow card presented to Daniel Ama of Oglethorpe. Lions lining up on the right side. We'll see if Asin tries to put a little English on this one and curve it in towards the middle part of the box. Jacome waiting in the backfield. Never forget about him. Referee still entering a mind to his book, it appears, as he'll put it into the shirt pocket. In the backfield, awaiting, is Grant, Shirley, and Eberhardt. Asin, a wide boot, just goes for the shot on goal. It ricochets right off Mejia, and the Lions unable to capitalize on that one. But still not over. Asin trying to win this ball away. It'll get past him and now towards midfield. Jacome trying to get back to his spot on the defensive end as Oglethorpe looks to push in. A little bit of miscommunication there. Collision between Castro and a Petrel, but he's okay. Jacome over to Eberhardt. Now a wide cross, looking to find Knight. He's going to find Ma. Ma on a juggle will clear it, and it'll find Cash.
Great job going back to that free kick for Asin, as Eberhardt going to take down Al-Ram. Doesn't appear to have a card being presented. Just some words of warning for Eberhardt. But Asin, I love what he did with that free kick. Sure, you can swing it in, look to find the head of Jacome, who usually towers over most of the defenders. But by keeping it low, keeping it sort of bouncing on the ground, it made Nicholas Mejia's job so much more difficult, and he got the bobble. He got the ball to bounce off his chest, which is exactly what Austin was hoping for. Just no line was there to pick up the scraps and put it away. But I love exactly how that free kick played out.
And if you can repeat that recipe, of course, you would think the law of averages would weigh in the Lions' favor if you continue to do that. That little foul by Eberhardt, by the way, it did look like it was a foul, well warranted. Just looked like they got tangled up around the legs, and I think Eberhardt was trying to help him up as he saw him starting to fall, and it might appear that he shoved him down, but it did look like Eberhardt was just helping him up, and I think the referee thankfully saw that one. So we'll have a substitution here. Give you the name of him. It looks like Parker is in. Ricardo Ruiz is going to come in for Asin. And Adam Cook in for Nico Eberhardt, as well as Devin Parker in for Danny Castro. So 3 substitutions for the Lions and a couple for the Petrels. It'll be Chris Vagila in for Ben Aram, and Javier Martinez in for Jake Locklear. Tanner Beam on an aggressive tackle, gets it momentarily. Now they got to win it back. Castro watching that one. Ruiz on that one. Davis Knight watching it. So Parker takes over on the left side. Grant remains in the game. Grant now kind of moving back into that winged role, it looks like, as Jacome able to save that one, but it will roll out and be a corner kick. So it looks like Parker takes over where Grant was playing, and now Grant possibly free to run a little bit up the midfield. You love to have that, especially now that Asin's going to get a couple minutes of rest on the bench.
Grant's such a quick and agile player who can fly downfield, so if a counter-attacking opportunity presents itself for the Lions, expect him to be going upfield quickly.
High cross there off the corner kick. And Amaz going to let it roll out. It'll be another one just on the opposite end of the pitch. Adrian Levy is now in for Nicholas Sierra for Oglethorpe. They're going to go for the short corner. Parker on it. And that gets in, and a good header by Jacome will clear it momentarily. Whistle there. Didn't exactly see what happened, but it will be in favor of the Lions. Grant now on the right side wing, unable to collect it. It'll roll out and be a throw-in. And it does appear we now have a third official, so we will now return to our regularly scheduled officiating. As we sat at the top, the third official was a little late getting to the game, so we started with 2. But back to normal now. Parker and Grant as well as Ruiz circling that one. It'll get past him. Now on the right side, it appears to be, can't get an eye on the number, Nowak. Let it roll out. Hands it off for a throw-in. That nasty light pole all in our way.
Bit of an obstructed view from exactly where we're standing with the entire near sideline from that camera angle, but doing our best to give you guys as much of a picture as possible when your view may be obstructed.
Cash is on that one. Jacome looking to find it. On it is Cook. Cook on the outside will let Cash move the ball. Trio of Lions all over that one. Oglethorpe goes for a long cross, and it's going to go over the head of Parker. Opposite end of the box now, trying to push their way in. And a good block there. Jackson Shirley on that one. Not out of the woods, though. Got to clear this ball. Whistle there.
We're going to have another offsides call against the Stormy Petrels. The luxury of finally having 3 refs is one of them can always sit on that last defender, hold the line of seeing exactly when the attacker runs past the last defender. Of course, that is when the offside is called. So thankfully, we don't have to worry about a couple questionable calls anymore as Bobby Wood sets up here to send one deep.
And DP does. Knight watches that one escape over his head. Grant racing in. Both of them take a tumble there. Now Parker. Jacome on it. Trying to get it to Grant, and Oglethorpe runs into Grant. Both men down on that one. It does look like Stormy Petro a little more hurt than that. He went up for a kick, and Grant was running towards it, and he just kind of ran into his leg there. Ama. Running up and watching it is Ricardo Ruiz.
Just under 17 minutes left in this first half. Lions have done well to build back a little bit of that shaky start, but yet to harbor a goal just yet. But with these new subs on the pitch, hopefully a burst of energy can push them towards that first goal.
It does look like, the two goals came across very early, but it does look like things have kind of stabilized. A lot of good tackles in the box as they're going to be put to the test once more, it looks like, as the Stormy Petrels are threatening just around that area. But a couple of really good tackles and a really solid defensive moves from within the box have really kept Oglethorpe on their heels, just looking to continue the pressure, but once again, the Lions' defense kind of stopping them. It's just unfortunate those two goals got past them that early in the contest. Nowak watching that one. Beam. Ruiz. Now Ruiz and Grant converging on that ball, and there's a shot way above the net. It'll be a goalie kick.
Good job by the Lions to stay in front. The Petrels continuously moving it through the midfield, tested it on the left side and the left midfielders, and then switched it through the midfield all the way to the right side. And the Lions the entire time keeping the pressure up, not over-committing, which helped them shut down and only give up a low percent shot for the Stormy Petrels.
Cash hands it off to Cook, and Cook braces a tackle. He's still down, still trying to... Looks like the shin ailing him here, and we'll have a stoppage of play. It was a really nasty tackle by Oglethorpe. It does look like it was clean, however. Just a really tough fall for Piedmont. Cook still down. Will get helped up by Nowak. Be a throw-in for Oglethorpe. As courtesy thrown in right to Cash. Grant on the right wing, trying to push his way through, and it'll get blocked out. Back towards the midfield. A pair of Stormy Petrels down on the turf. Still down. And Nowak will put it out. Both of them, it looked like they both collided with each other.
It seemed when Grant had that ball down the right side, he slipped between the two, and both of them, hoping to commit to a tackle into Grant, actually committed to a tackle between themselves. So, unfortunate collision there. I'm sure neither of them expected that much force coming back at them. One Petrel seems all right. The other one a bit more shaken up here as he's going to be checked out by the trainers.
Yeah, immediately just both of them went down clutching something, and looks like he's going to be helped to his feet here. Javier Aponte is the man still gingerly making his way. He'll be substituted out for
Eric, I just want to grab your thoughts quick as we have a bit of time here. Just what do the Lions really need to do to shift it from solidifying themselves on the defensive end to now solidifying themselves on the attacking side?
Well, it does seem like at this point, getting rest for Racine, who's good, and moving Grant back is also, good, getting him kind of less exposed, if you will. But having those two potent figures in the midfield severely helps the chances of getting a goal and getting the ball to Davis Knight, who is quite possibly just the most important man on the pitch right now in the Lions situation, as he is going to be the guy who's going to need to score.
And that's sort of answers my next question for you, which was, do you think the Lions potentially need to look at playing Ferdinand up top? Of course, Ferdinand, the 6'4" forward that the Lions always have in their back pocket, currently on the bench. It gives a different dynamic for the defense to look at. Do you think that's something that the Lions should consider? Do you think Knight is still the answer? Well, Knight's been playing fantastic. I'm wondering if just a shift in perspective might be what the Lions need.
The Lions, usually they run the two-man up top, and that seemed to help them the first couple games, again, especially against Barry, when they were able to just constantly press an offensive push. But now retreating to this sort of one-man, it does help that if you have that 6'4" presence of Ferdinand, as we talked about with Johnson and Wales, just definitely pulls attention away from Knight, especially in a game where they would have Knight, unlike what they did last week when he was still riding the bench. Just here, I think the solution, as Bobby Wood reaches up and clutches that one, would be to get the ball to Knight and just see what you can do. If Knight can possess it a little longer than he has in the past and just maybe not go for that immediate shot, just handle the ball momentarily, the field's going to open up, you're going to get Ruiz up there, you're going to get Nowak, of course he has speed, and you're going to get Beam moving up as well as this one escapes into the corner.
Absolutely right. Knight now, as the solo forward, going to be a bit more of a point man. Of course, he can turn and take on the defenders with his technical prowess, but it would be wise to try and build the numbers in the Lions' favor. And with such a well-crafted counter-attacking team as the Lions are, holding that ball for just a little bit longer, as you were saying, Eric, is exactly what the Lions need to potentially build a momentous attack.
Now the Lions just able to keep that ball in the corner, and if they can just make sure that it doesn't really leave the corner in this situation and keep pressing the Stormy Petrel's defense, you might have something cooking here. But Oglethorpe, already back on the offensive, crosses the midfield line. Ruiz able to get this one and get it out. Sorry for the delay there. It's just I keep trying to keep my papers up on the desk. I think the wind or weight, whatever, has another say in that. So it'll be a throw-in for Oglethorpe, and the big man, Jonathan Ferdinand, getting loose on the sideline. Ama on the right side. Going to try to find a man on the outside on the right side, and he does. Big boot is crossed, it's got spin, and goes right to Parker. Parker able to get a touch on it, and Shirley clears it. Luke Ferrari playing that one. What a name. Ruiz watching it. Nowak. Measuring, trying to find an opening. Now Cook. And Ruiz flying out of midfield. Harsh block on that one. And it'll ricochet out. Not sure if it'll be a corner or a throw-in.
Lions feeling so much more solidified on the defensive end. The Petrels haven't given them any legs to stand on, but the Lions continue to get up, even being down 2 goals. So great fight from them. And these opportunities that we saw were a lot more potent and a lot stronger, it felt, initially. But now that the Lions have clamped up a little bit more, the opportunities are a lot less likely to result in a goal.
And a corner there by Oglethorpe. Javier Martinez trying to go for a shot there. It was blocked. Grant testing that physicality with the referee on the right side. Able to stall momentarily while the Lions get their defenses in order. Parker pushing his way in, trying to win this one-on-one. He does momentarily, trying to save that ball from rolling out. And stampeding the pin in the corner is Oglethorpe. They'll have to stand that one back up. It'll be a goal kick, so a really good job by Parker to just block that ball from getting hit. And Bobby Wood will now have possession.
All the subs for the Lions have been so active since they hopped in, of course, notably Ruiz and Parker, respectfully. And now we see Davis Knight going to get a breather likely for the rest of the first half. We're around 10 minutes left here in the opening half, and we're going to see Jonathan Ferdinand now going to be the point man, perhaps looking for a little bit more physicality to hold onto that ball, make life a little bit more difficult for the defenders. Davis Knight, though, great job in that first half. Found himself a couple opportunities as the Petrels attack, going to get shut down here on the right sideline once again.
Yeah, we mentioned bringing in Ferdinand might draw some attention, but now him being the lone man up there, he is really going to have to flex that technical skill. Oglethorpe pressing their way through.
Petrel's doing a great job holding on to the ball once again. Has been their strategy throughout this first half is these little tiki-taka passes, short 5-10 yards just to find the open man, take space given to them by the Lions. And as you saw there, waiting for that one run they can make for a through ball. But Ferdinand now going to find himself in a one-on-one, just going to be out of reach for him as the Petrels recover quickly.
Yeah, Ferdinand had that chance at a touch, just unable to secure it like you mentioned. Now he has another chance here as they might just be looking to play around him. He's not slow out there, but he certainly is big, and Oglethorpe playing around that one. Cook, and now Nowak. Beam has played all minutes. A little bit neutralized here in the past couple, though, looking to make his presence felt on that one.
You can hear the Petrels yelling, "Don't just touch it, move it." Obviously, game plan was well announced before the start of this matchup. Keep that possession, keep that ball moving, tire out the Lions' defensive backs to make sure that they will eventually whittle down and give up an open opportunity.
Ruiz will give way, and now Grant watching that one on the midfield. Another pass. And that one just off the post. Thankfully, that was close.
Shaky connection for the Stormy Petrel striker. Fantastic run and combination. You saw them play through the point man like we talked about. Hopefully Ferdinand can kind of get the same on the offensive side, but the run to the outside going through the middle then back out wide opened up the chance to swing a ball in, and that backdoor cut was left unmarked. Bobby Wood putting his hands up quickly saying, "Why are we not watching our man?" They escaped luckily there with a post ricochet, but the Lions going to have to solidify themselves just a little bit more with just around 5 minutes left in this first half.
Ferdinand tried for a header. Beam pouncing on that ball, looking to maintain possession, something the Lions have not had here recently. Just really unable to get to that ball and secure it. They've mostly just been playing on the back foot all game long, but especially here in the final minutes of the first half. Ferdinand trying to add a little bit of pressure to Mejia. This one down the left side. Beam racing on it. So is Grant. Two aggressive defenders for the Lions looking to secure that one. But the Petrels will just take it back, reset, and set up another set of passes. Oglethorpe at midfield. Tanner Beam on it once more. Just a trip up there, and that might be what the Lions need. It's past him. Racing on it. It looks like Shirley. Shirley trying to find Ferdinand. Gets a weak touch on it, and it'll be cleared.
Great run by Shirley down the right sideline. Fended off the defender on his back for the majority of that half. Just unfortunately couldn't get enough leg power there, but quickly recovers himself. Going to get another good tackle in there as Jacome sends it back to the midfield once again. Foul going to be called. Going to clip the back leg of Ruiz. We're going to see a free kick for the Lions near the midfield line. Couple of lines going to be sent forward. Such a low amount of time left. Taking a look at the clock, we are looking at about 3 minutes on the dot before the conclusion of this first half. Of course, with these rules, there are no extra time allotted. So that 3 minute goes off and we are done. Bicycle kick attempt. Gonna nearly find the face of a Stormy Petrel, not the ball. That was Cash on the go-ahead, and a shot fired from deep by what looked like Shirley, not gonna give them a goal.
It was very close. An aggressive attack there by the Lions. You love to see that. Oglethorpe pushing their way in. Garrett Presnell in for J.R. Cozine on the Oglethorpe side.
Bobby Wood gonna take his sweet time, drops the ball down, out to Cash. Petrels, though, a lot of high press here. Lions potentially could find themselves with an overextension. Parker gonna make a run in behind, but Oglethorpe quick to recognize what the Lions were looking to deploy there, and Ferdinand gonna try and close in on Ama.
Yeah, it did look like there might have been a slight opportunity there, but Oglethorpe quickly turned their heads and realized what was happening, like you said. Ricardo Ruiz getting on it here. Fall away. He's back on it now. Oglethorpe really just taking their time on this attack. Obviously looking to pad a lead even more before getting into the half, but really not in a rush, it seems.
And as we're very near the conclusion of this first half, Eric, I just want to ask you, do you think the Lions need to change their strategy going into the second half? You've had the point man for all of the 45 minutes and it really hasn't generated much offensive opportunities. Do you think they go back to the two-man up front, kind of give up a bit of a defensive structure and add a little bit more pressure to hopefully force Oglethorpe back because of how much offense they can generate?
Obviously, having the two strikers up top, you get a little bit more of a potent offensive approach, and I do like that. I think that might be the better strategy there, as they're still volleying for this heavy header. But in the backfield, it does seem like the Lions have figured out the defense, so moving someone up top might not be so much as a detriment as it would be a help, as Ferdinand is all alone up there, just really unable to get the ball himself and make a play because it's just not getting to him. Nothing called there, and we will play out the buzzer. So as I was saying, just, two offensive members up top, maybe taking a little less pressure and men off the defensive side. Obviously, you know what you trade off there, and what certainly hurts is Colin Vogel not being able to play today. We know how quick Vogel is, and we know how dangerous that 1-2 punch of Davis Knight and Colin Vogel can be up top. But when you have Davis Knight on the run that he's been so good so far. If you get a complimentary piece to him, like Ferdinand, like Castro, really anyone on that Lions bench that can just be with him and make sure that he can get across to him, it would certainly help. And something else I noticed is a lot of what Oglethorpe is doing, they're very horizontal passes, not very trying to cut through diagonally. It's very man-to-man, side-to-side passing. So if the Lions can find a way to disrupt that, really push through and go through the windows, if you will, of the offensive members for the Petrels, you might see a lot more possession swing Piedmont's way.
Absolutely. Oglethorpe has done a great job sticking to their game plan. It kind of looked like for the majority of that first half, the Lions were playing exactly what Oglethorpe wanted them to play, and that was a slower tempo on defense, just making the defenders of the Lions so tired because they held onto the possession of that offense end for so long, and that's how they grabbed one of their 2 goals, was just being patient, waiting for one of those Lions to say, you know what, I'm done jockeying, I'm done waiting for you to make a mistake, I'm going to force one, get that slight overextension, you blink, next thing you know, there's a ball in behind, and players are flying towards your box. But for the Lions, you're exactly right with bringing that man up. And the other thing I noticed towards the very end of that first half was you had Ama and one other Stormy Petrel on that back line when the ball was in the Lions' defensive half. You send 2 strikers up there, you're at worst given an even opportunity on a counterattack with 2 strikers up top. So that might automatically force a Stormy Petrel back and sort of alleviate some of that offensive pressure that we've seen so far from Oglethorpe.
We'll definitely see what the conversation is at halftime. We'll be back and give you a little bit of a break. We'll take a break up here, go grab a drink, go get something to eat and sit down and get ready for a Lions comeback in the second half. You're listening to Lions Soccer on YouTube. getting ready to start the second half here, as it'll be 2-0 Oglethorpe at the whistle. And just looking at the stats between the two squads, 12 shots opposed to 4 shots for Piedmont. And quite obvious on the pitch, but definitely after the meeting at halftime, you hope that there are some strategy changes. Simon, what are you looking for out of the squad?
Yeah, absolutely right. There does need to be a bit of a shift for the Piedmont Lions. They tried to run one forward, and based off how the formation looks to be set up right now, with it appears to be a 4-5-1, they're going to stick with Davis Knight as the lone striker. Going to have Nowak on the left side. We're going to see Parker get the quote-unquote starting nod here for the second half. But what I was hoping to see coming out of the break would be having another striker up top, give Davis a little bit of help to put pressure on this strong-willed Petrel's defense. But unfortunately, we're going to see sort of the same strategy here for the second half. Maybe instead of changing formation, it's going to be a change of tactics, a couple more short passes, make the ball find its way to Davis naturally, and that's going to help players get in and around side him to make runs in the back line.
It appears that they're obviously off to a different start here, as they're going to put the Petrels in the back foot immediately. It's going to be a throw-in, though, for Oglethorpe, but still on their side of the pitch.
And for the Petrels, not much has to change. Obviously, scoreline in their favor with 2 goals, and both of those 2 goals were a result of a well-crafted attack. And what they've been doing so well are these short balls, building up momentum and waiting and patiently just biding their time until one of the Lions ends up overcommitting, which results in a window to make a run in behind. So Petrel's likely just going to keep the same kind of tempo, hold onto the ball for a while, as you see a couple passes back and forth through the midfield here, and running behind on the left side. Going to hopefully stay in for the Petrels. May just have rolled out. Our left corner is obstructed, but it's going to stay in now as the Petrels look to attack.
Ruiz will clear it out over to Knight, who can't trap it. And definitely what you said there, you would hope the Lions do the same. Maybe a little bit more possession, keeping it to themselves possibly, or just making sure that on their wings there's someone close by so they can put it to them and just get constant momentum moving up.
Absolutely right. It felt very wide, and I'm very for a team utilizing as much of the field as possible. I don't love it when wingers kind of find themselves closer to the midfield, but when you have one striker, it's a lot harder to connect that striker with those wingers unless they're all considered forwards or wingers. So with Davis Knight being the only man really up top, as you see Parker and Nowak both on the left and right side, they're dropped with the defensive line. So Davis Knight can really be on an island for the majority of this half, and finding that connection, I feel like, is going to be the key to generating some shots.
And like we said before we went into half, if you could just have Knight hold on to it, trap it himself, and brace the defense enough for a time where the Lions can move up, as this one's in the box, and a good job by Grant to slide in and get it out. But just able to collect that ball, keep it to himself, and just allow reinforcements to get there.
Absolutely right. Petrels have found themselves in that corner a couple of times today already. I believe this is going to be number 6 on the day. So they are the set piece maestros when it comes to opportunities, as this one's going to be swung in by Al-Ran. Going to be cleared out initially with Parker getting the secondary header.
Really good clean header there. Something we didn't see a lot of that the Lions usually do is some clean headers in the first half. A little bit of missed timing. But looking to better that here. Bobby Wood can't escape out of the goal momentarily. And that'll come up and it'll be out.
Lions look to be a little bit better connected thus far on the defensive end. It's all right if a ball slips in behind, but what they've done so well is stay as one conjoined unit. They clustered up that box, made it difficult for any Petrel to even see the ball up in the air. And as I mentioned just a little bit earlier, with Nowak and Parker dropping so far back in the defensive end. It's almost like you have 6 defenders playing back. So it's going to be a long half for those 2 wingers to make themselves go up and down the field, but we know this team is so well conditioned to head up and down throughout the entire game.
And possibly a good opportunity here as Cash is going to come in a little bit and set up a free kick. Good foul drawn there. Cash surveying the area before booting it into it. Looks like he's going to go straight on towards goal. And there's Ruiz. It gets past and right into the midst of Mejia.
Good swing in by Cash. Not a lot of lines there to contest with it. Looked like might have just been Knight there in there trying to get ahead on it, but good step out by Mejia as he hasn't been too active today just yet. Lions not firing a bunch of shots. This is a question I was going to ask you a little bit earlier, Eric, is do the Lions need to start firing from a little bit further out, just trying to send the message that, hey, we're going to start adding pressure, whether it's from 25 yards out or a tap-in? Because as it feels right now, the Lions haven't really gotten an offensive attack besides that one with that Parker one-on-one earlier the first half.
This one gets into the box, get to that, and it's cleared out. So, Asin, when he had that free kick earlier, his idea was to just, I'm going to hit this ball very hard. And if Mejia gets it, great. He's not going to collect it. And he didn't. He bounced it right off of his chest. Unfortunately, the Lions were unable to pounce on that. So, yes, I would agree. If you can get these very heavy shots from outside the box, put Mejia on his toes, possibly get Jacome, maybe even Davis snuck in there. If Jacome can maybe come out of the back line a little bit, we know he's so sneaky with it. And if either one of those men can get in there and play that hard ball, just making sure that the defense for the Petrels is unsettled, really. And that's more than commonly been the issue, I feel, these past couple games for the Lions. Just the defense on the other side is so rested. They feel like they know this game plan. It doesn't hurt to throw in a little chaos every now and then.
Absolutely, Ryan. To add on top of that, by shooting so far away, one of those are going to be a seriously threatening shot. Again, like you said earlier, the law of averages, one of those balls are likely going to end up not as a goal perhaps, but just something that the goalie this time he is really going to have to worry about. So that's going to eventually result in these defenders forced to respect the long distance shooting of the Lions, which may draw out opportunities for Davis Knight, for Nowak, for Parker to run in behind and potentially make a backdoor cut.
Definitely agree, as Oglethorpe looks to storm their way back through the Piedmont defense. It's been more of a quiet game, offensively at least, since the first couple came through in the first few minutes of the game. Of course, we're just underway here, so 37-40 left in the game, and I would say that's plenty of time for this Lions offense to come back. We know how potent it can be. We've seen how potent it can be. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and at this moment, a little bit disjointed. That'll find the net once more as Oglethorpe continues its surge. It's 3-0.
Short corner kick by the Stormy Petrels. Going to find the feet of Al Ram. He's going to bag his brace here today. Second goal of the afternoon. Got one earlier in that first half. Sort of the same kind of shot. Fired one from outside the 18 from the top right corner. This time he's going to bend it to the back post. A lot of pace, a lot of curve on that shot. Bobby Wood unable to really get an attack onto that shot. So going to go in as an impressive goal, and it's going to increase the lead for the Stormy Petrels to 3-0.
Grant cutting his way through. Missed his inclusion in this game as he's been relegated to playing backline defense for the majority of it. And now the Lions a little bit of offense here as Davis Knight finds his way into the box and it gets put out by Oglethorpe momentarily. That was a really good motion there, and it involved a good run by Grant making his way through and a couple of more short connected passes, as we've said multiple times.
That was a beautiful connection and combination there. Knight and I believe it was Nowak were the two who were looking to combine back and forth, and Parker got past one, got shut down by the second Stormy Petrel, but you could see a bit more momentum is getting built here. Perhaps that fire finally lit on the underside of these Lions as they're faced to a 3-0 deficit, something that is pretty difficult to come back from. And what we didn't talk about earlier is how good this Oglethorpe defense is. Obviously, we said they are one great defensive unit, but statistically speaking on this season, they're yet to give up 2 goals. So history is on their side right now, because if you only give up 2 goals or less, they're going to win 3-2 at worst. But with these Lions and their ability to attack at any given moment, the Oglethorpe Stormy Petrels need to make sure that they're always ready, because Parker, Nowak, and Knight can always fly down that field and snag a quick goal.
We know how much speed this Lions offense has, but they're going to have to set up on the defense for a short throw in here as the Oglethorpe Petrels are racing their way into the box. Couple headers there and a good clear.
Good job there and good patience by Cash, challenging from behind on that cut inside to not give up a penalty. Good patience from the Lions to not do anything too risky and keep this lead at bay.
Jackson Shirley back passes to Cash. Cash looking for somebody. He's going to try to get it to Nowak, it looked like, but it goes over his head. Ricardo Ruiz. Now Tanner Beam. Ruiz once more gets tripped up there. No whistle. Beam still fighting for that ball. And now we'll have a whistle. Appears to be a foul on Oglethorpe. It will be. Big boot there trying to get it to Davis Knight, but it's just over his head, and Knight and Mejia run into each other.
I like the idea of going for it quick with Cash, getting the ball stopped by either Cook or Nowak on that left side. Knight going to make a run in just past his outstretched leg to bring it down, and nearly recovered in time before Mejia could get it, but just a little too deep for Knight's foot.
Beam. Oglethorpe passes over. Now towards in the midfield crest. Ricardo Ruiz watching this one. And it seems every Piedmont Lion is all hands on deck for the defense as Bobby Wood jumps up in the air and gets tips on it. It'll be a corner kick for Oglethorpe. But it seems everybody that's not named Davis Knight is surrounding the box and making sure that the Petrels don't get another goal across. And Simon, I want to ask you, is the doubling down on defense here possibly maybe a little too late?
It's tough to say, because with the talent that Oglethorpe has on the offensive end, as they're sending so many men forward, you have to respect it. Obviously, you've given up 2 goals outside the box as another shot is potentially going to be fired, but great closeout by Jacome there to shut down the opportunities. Ahmad tries to keep it in. No luck there. But to answer your question, I don't think it's too little too late. I think, we're still early into the second half. We still have over 30 minutes left of this half, so I think right now the Lions just need to weather the storm a little bit. Once again, they gave up an early goal, kind of the same story as what they did in the first half, but if they can find their footing, I think they'll slowly start to send a couple more men forward, slowly get Jacome more involved, get Grant more involved in that forward attack, and that's when they start to alleviate and free up some of the defenders towards that offensive attack.
It's just going to be a matter of if they can get that ball across the midfield line and get it well into possession of themselves. Unfortunately, that has not been the story told this afternoon to this point. Parker trying to trap that one, unable to handle the spin as it'll escape into the left side of the box and roll out in favor of the Lions.
Bobby Wood getting set up once again. Gonna let his men fly forward. Deep boot coming in. We know how far he can kick it. He's gonna try and get the 50-50 towards a favorable opportunity. This time gonna look for the head of Ruiz. Flicked forward for Knight, not to be. And the ball gonna be jostled around here in the midfield.
Good job and a good set of headers here. It's just going to be an amount of controlling. Ruiz will peel off, and it'll be Oglethorpe making the next set of decisions. Abba. Beam measuring, Beam also directing traffic, letting people know where it's going to go. A good job by Jacome to leap into the air and get a header on it. Another head there by Ruiz. And now Parker trying to find Knight. That's a good cross. Now Knight's got to secure it. And it'll be put into the backfield of the Petrels.
It's been difficult thus far for the Lions to really find their point man of Davis Knight. He's been trying to get active, get his feet on a couple of balls. A couple deep swings towards him have just been out of reach. Ball going to go out of bounds there. Possession's going to change hands to the Lions, change feet rather. But you're right, Davis Knight doing his best to get involved, just no such luck thus far.
Certainly no fault to Davis. Just so scarce an opportunity as the Petrels are putting their foot first into the box, but a good block by Grant. And now possibly an overextension as Piedmont looks to jump on top of it. But that one little second of stalling is going to allow them to reset themselves. It was a good job by Noack to try to get past. Noack slips on that one. Good tackle. And no call as Beam trying to push his way through on the left side. Wrestling with it. It's a 2-on-1. Unable to win that one. Shirley getting a little bit more aggressive, going for the harsh tackle. No whistle either, as the Petrels will play back once more past the midfield line.
Lions trying to clump up defensively. You see even Knight dropping below that midfield line. Cash going to contest, or Noack rather, going to contest, going to reward himself with a throw-in, going to toss it on over to Cook. Lions starting to weather the storm just a little bit more. Stormy Petrels feeling like they're going to have a lot more lines to get through now, and hopefully that means that players like Parker and Noack on those wings can stretch out those Petrels on the defensive end to open up lanes for Knight on the forward spot.
And with so many Petrels on this side, you might see the game plan being, okay, they're going to have to send everybody to come get us, to come get through this human wall, as it looks like cramp there on the sideline. That's what it is. That's what the delay of game is for. And more training staff will go down and have a look at them. Don't know which Petrel is down on the ground, but it appears just to be a cramp.
We're also going to see Austin check in here. Not exactly sure what happened to Tanner Beam, but something to do with a broken shin guard. His shin himself maybe got hit. So he's going to get a quick look at. Not happy to hop out, but Austin more than happy to fill the role and find himself in for the first time in the second half.
And putting a player like Austin on the bench for that long, obviously he's going to remain fresh. We know what caliber of player he is, but that's kind of the question. If leaving him on the bench for that long, maybe not using these plug-and-play pieces, what kind of motion does that carry in this game?
Honestly, definitely going to be looking to facilitate here, spread out the attack as the main man in the middle. Austin right now going to be put to the test on the defensive end. Ball going to be flicked over. Petrel going to be moving the ball fantastic. Tried to do a cutback cross, not to be good defensive recovery by the Lions. However, another corner kick going to be granted, number 7 or 8 of the afternoon for the Petrels. Every man but Davis Knight once again filling the box for the Lions, trying to make sure that the lead does not continue to grow. If they can get a ball out quickly, we know how fast this team is. Cash going to get the head on. Ball going to be fired off by Javier Martinez. High and wide as a result of that shot, and Bobby Wood not going to be tasked with anything there. So goal kick for the Lions once again. Looking to set up a little bit more defensively with Jacome and Cash on the deep end, and maybe trying to bait these Stormy Petrels into a bit of an overcommitment here so that the back line can be opened up with a deep ball.
It's whistle there. Not sure what the infraction was on.
It looked to be a push, perhaps, but what surprises me is Grant didn't lose possession of the ball. Of course, the nice thing about soccer traditionally is you can play something called advantage, where if there is a foul committed but the possession doesn't change teams, you can let the team continue to play on because an offensive attack could be created. As speaking of one right there, great ball swung in by Grant. Going to find the feet of Nowak, just mistimed slightly. It's going to head over the goal, but no advantage being called there in favor of Grant, in favor of the Lions, is honestly surprising because it looked like there was a lot of offensive momentum heading down that right sideline.
Just really unfortunate. Of course, we've had our share of just question marks for the officiating crew this afternoon, but they were rather good once they achieved their third partner. So he got to work on time, on his standards. But it'll be a goal kick by Mejia. And just to kind of speak again on what you were talking about, it seems as though the Lions may be trying to draw out an overcommitment by the Petrels, as they might find themselves on one here. And they choose to pass on the horizontal there. And right in line with that are the Petrels, and they close that shooting window quite swiftly.
One of the Petrels going to get absolutely surrounded by a swarm of Lions there. A pride, you may say, but good defensive clump by the men in black right now as the Petrels having to face a bit more of a reinforced defensive structure. You can see Davis Knight getting all the way back there, getting involved into the defensive midfield. So Lions content with not giving up another goal, okay with bringing as many men back as possible to achieve this goal of keeping it at a 3-0 deficit. And I am assuming that the strategy is now just to counterattack, wait for those Petrels to send too many men forward, let Davis Knight get the ball, and attack one-on-one.
Cash on a header. And a handball. There it is. Ruiz just unable to trap it cleanly, went off the top of his foot and just hit his hand. It'll be a kick for Oglethorpe.
And every time those Lions start to seem to have a bit of momentum, is quick free kick going to be taken there. Good shutdown by Cook to not let anything result in a shot or even an attacking chance. But every time the Lions start to have momentum, there seems to be just a slight slip-up of some sorts. And if they can just polish it off a little bit more, clean up their offensive attack, as a shot fired at the top of the 18, going to be blocked by Bobby Wood. Great job there. Adrian Levy on the shot. Going to find the hands of Bobby Wood flying out for a corner. If the Lions, though, going back to my point, could just clean up those one or two minor mistakes, that counterattack is so potent that they may just find themselves grabbing a couple in the second half.
Most definitely. It does always seem like, especially with what we were treated to in the early part of this year, that this Lions offense is just one movement away, one click away, one maybe momentum push away from putting it all together. Just over the past 3 games, it just hasn't been there. And whether you want to attribute that to missing players or any of the such or anything that we have said, as that's another offsides on Oglethorpe, it still just has not come to fruition for Piedmont.
And absolutely right. While it's not a discredit to any of the players, you know as well as I do that any team, any unit that goes out there, if you go with the men you train with, you're usually playing with, that chemistry is so strong. And even just one switch, whether it's a positional change or a player change, as a physical interaction between Austin and a couple of Stormy Petrel is going to result in Austin retaining possession. Anytime there's a switch in that formation, in those players and personnel on who's on the field, the connection just seems to waver a little bit. A couple more interesting mistakes, I'll put it. So Lions just trying to find their footing with such a constantly changing rotation here, as we've seen Austin in a couple games, then he's out. We've seen Al Suwahi, as you mentioned, not playing here today. And, of course, the man up front, Colin Vogel, not finding playing time here. So with so many shifts in this lineup, it's really interesting how the Lions are having to recover and almost learn their teammates and how they play game in and game out, because it seems like they're sending a new squad out each and every time.
Certainly helps when everyone's healthy. Ruiz battling for that one on the side, and it'll be crossed out. Should be a goal kick, and it will be.
Find ourselves just under 23 minutes left in this second half. Time flying just a little bit quicker, it feels like. A lot more of back and forth action here, whether or not it be in the Lions defensive end is. Regardless, it feels a bit more even-sided here. The Storm seems to have been weathered after that first goal by Al Ram, and the Lions now finally find themselves in the offensive end.
It's just a matter of keeping it there as Oglethorpe steals it away. They'll play in the back a little bit. Looks like a Ma on it. Still playing with the two defenders in the backfield. Now that defender moving up a little bit. And we talked about a little bit earlier about how trying to maybe get some more aggressive shots on goal might disrupt this Petrel defense, but they haven't had that opportunity really to even get close to a shot on goal.
You're absolutely right, Eric. And as I was looking at this possession as well, you see 6 men in that exact back line. And of course, you have other players dropping back with Ruiz along with Tanner Beam, both sitting back there. Excuse me, not Tanner Beam, but Shirley on those defensive midfielder roles. So you have 8 of your 11, or 8 of your 10 really on the field. Of course, Bobby Wood making number 11. You have 8 of your 10 guys sitting deep in that defensive end. And, you know, you asked this question a little bit earlier. Do we shift a couple men forward? I think now would be the time. Of course, you still have about 30 minutes left of this game. But it is so, or 20, excuse me, but it is so important to start generating offense, and you can't do that if so many of your men are back. I understand the concern of dealing with such a potent offense that the Stormy Petrels have presented thus far, but you just have to kind of take it on the chin and say, look, we can't win by not giving up any more goals. We have to score. So you need to start shifting a couple more men forward. Take the risk of giving up maybe a few more offensive attacks and try to just generate some offense of your own here.
I think that term is correct there. Just take the risk. Try something different here and just see if it works. Down 3-0. This is an Oglethorpe defense that hasn't given up more than 2 goals in a game, or has yet to give up 2 goals in a game. And just put them to the wire. See if you can get past them. See what this offense can do. They haven't had a chance to flex their muscles to this point in this game, as there's a little bit of trickery afoot in the box, and a good clear up by Austin, who always seems to be in the right place. Ball in the corner. Lost visual here. It'll roll out and be a throw-in for Oglethorpe. Ruiz battling for that one. Shirley measuring, seeing if he can find his way through. Seen a good slide there, able to keep it in front of him, but goes right back into the feet of Oglethorpe.
Knight trying to mount any amount of pressure on this back line, and Lions still content with keeping men back. Petrels, as a result of this, are going to have the majority of the possession. They're going to have opportunities to swing the ball in because the Lions are sitting so far back, but the Lions are doing better with weathering the storm when it comes to these Stormy Petrels. So hopefully these Lions can get and recognize that overcommitment by the Stormy Petrels, as good exchange here is going to result in Knight going to have one touch too heavy, and it's going to be shut down by Oglethorpe.
Looked like a good run was brewing there by Knight. Of course, every time he gets the ball, you expect something good to happen because he usually does make something good happen whenever he gets the ball. But unfortunately, they are just unable to have that kind of supporting cast around him, as everyone was still kind of in the backfield. It seems like every time he's gotten the ball today, it's either been on a misplay by Oglethorpe or just a long shot in the dark cross, just trying to get it to somebody on Piedmont's behalf. So just not a lot lot of plan, if you will, to get the ball to him rather than just a happy accident that it does.
Absolutely right. And that's kind of why I feel like we needed to bring up a second forward, just because not only does it alleviate some of that pressure for Knight to hold on to the ball at all times, but it guarantees him to have a supporting member. Whether or not it goes to his partner or Knight himself, he will have that guy's back, and the other man will have his back to be able to hold on to the ball a little bit more and give Piedmont a time to shift from their defensive structure to an offensive setup, as an impressive tackle there is going to be a no call and result in a Piedmont throw-in.
Really good tackle, able to win the ball. As now Oglethorpe playing back a little bit here. Long cross. Now Oglethorpe looking to set up shop in the box. Cook on that one, trying to push it out, and he does.
We see what looks to be Castro heading up to the midfield line here. Going to see his substitution, as I believe the AR assistant referee is going to be calling the goal kick back for what I assume was the ball still rolling as Bobby Wood connected with it. So, of course, on any set play, ball has to be stationary. There's always some leeway when it comes to those situations, but right now the referee is content on just letting him go again as he finds Cook on the left sideline.
Lions have another substitution ready in the wings. Good job by Cash to get it back up the middle. Now Nowak over to Ruiz. Ruiz pushing his way through, goes for a long cross, and it'll find his way out. That was purely intended for Davis Knight, but Mejia on the other end of it looking to make that grab.
What felt like the first real attacking opportunity for the Lions in the second half has resulted in absolutely nothing. A good couple of passes in the midfield. You saw Nowak and Parker flying downfield along with Davis Knight. Finally, the supporting members for Davis Knight were there, and instead of using them to combine to find Davis Knight simply, they went for that deep ball as if Davis Knight was all alone, and of course, right into the hands of Mejia.
Just a really unfortunate side there. It did look like the Lions might be setting up for something big and getting to use those defensive wall members on the other side of the pitch to make sure that ball doesn't get past. But just unfortunately unable to set the roots in and maintain the possession on the other half, as it was just simply cleared out by Mejia.
We're going to finally see Castro hop on in here. He's going to be the point man for the Lions for the next couple of minutes. Speaking of how much time we have left, we've reached the under 15-minute mark here in the second half. So Castro going to be up top, and we saw, I believe, one Petrel as well hop out of there. That's going to be Aaron Ibe for Luke Ferrari.
Aaron Ibe from across the pond. London, UK is his home. I'm sure it's a different environment here, as Castro immediately getting put into the fire as he's in the right corner, possibly with a scoring opportunity. He's going to be shoved down, and that ball will roll out.
We also see Jonathan Ferdinand warming up and down the sideline with Castro just subbing in at forward. I'm curious exactly as to what his role is going to be here.
Maybe we see a two-man front prong.
My fingers can only cross so far, but hopefully that is going to be the case.
Oglethorpe near the midfield line, not going to cross it just yet. Now down the right side, trying to push their way in. Good job by Ruiz to clear it.
Oglethorpe doing what they do best, those short passes to combine and link up with their teammates. Good double team there by Castro and Grant. Castro, I believe, thought Grant was going to continue forward with him, but the roll-off finds the foot of another white jersey.
That was a really good tackle there by Castro, who has looked pretty good in his few minutes that he's just subbed in for. So maybe he's coming off the bench. He's seen something a little different as he's been a spectator for a good bit of it. But maybe a fresh set of eyes is exactly what this Lions offense needs. As that goes right into the hands of Bobby Wood. No sweat there. He's going to go for the big boot. Castro turning, trying to find that one. It'll find the head of an Oglethorpe Stormy Petrel. Seen try to contain that one, but it looks like he's going to draw a foul here.
Ball going to be sent back just behind the halfway line. Not Rio Ferdinand, excuse me. That's a professional former soccer player for England. We're going to see Jonathan Ferdinand otherwise set up here as Austin going to have the ball just behind the midway line. A lot more Lions are forward. We're going to see Shirley just kind of hang around halfway up the field. Everyone else way in there looking for the head of Jacome. Combination between what looked to be Cash and Mejia. Mejia's going to go down. Good effort there by the Lions. A dangerous ball sent in by Austin from behind the halfway line. Great leg there. Mejia's slow to get up. There was no venom within that tackle, and I'm sure Mejia is aware of it too. Just part of the game, so Mejia going to get up with no complaint and continue on.
Seen really good at those set pieces, really good at trying to just boot the ball and bang it in. So he does have that powerful kick. Unfortunately, they're just unable to connect the dots.
Petrel's not going to force anything there. A bit of a shaky pass. Going to nearly roll out to the far sideline. One of the Petrel's going to get themselves there in time and retain possession. But as the Petrels have done for so long in this game, just take the space that's given to them. And, of course, there's a lot of it right now as so many men are deep. Ball going to be played in behind. Shirley the one to chase it down. Good slide tackle there. Going to send it out of bounds for a corner kick. And that defensive line is well set up, but with so many men back, offense has been starving all day. Jonathan Ferdinand still waiting on the sideline. Surprised they haven't done a substitution just yet for him. Of course, usually it's on a dead ball, but Jonathan still standing there on the midway line as the Petrel set up for yet another corner kick.
Right in the box, still wrestling forward on the Lions, trying to get it out. Grant will clear it out momentarily, but it go right into the possession of Oglethorpe once again.
Corner kick number 8 or 9, I believe, on the afternoon for Oglethorpe. Of course, Piedmont yet to see their first, so Piedmont's had a lot more set pieces on the field, but when it comes to corner kicks, the Petrels are the experts. We're finally going to see Jonathan Ferdinand check in. That's going to send Castro to the midfield as Nowak is the man being sent off, likely for the rest of the afternoon. Great job by him today getting active. Ball going to be sent in here. Austin the one jostling forward. Volley up and over the head of Bobby Wood. Great dip on that shot. That's going to be scored by Chris Veglia, Bit of a mispronunciation there. Petrels increasing their lead to 4 now, as this offense has been devastating, to say the least, against the Lions.
Yeah, it was just, you got to compliment the shot, just right off the bar and hit right down. There's little that Bobby Wood could do short of growing a couple more inches in the net. So we'll kick it back off again. Still the one man up top, but now it's Ferdinand. Austin being swarmed by Petrels. And now Oglethorpe trying to take advantage.
We officially find ourselves under 10 minutes. About 9-minute mark is where we are with how much time is remaining. If there's ever a time to send men forward, it's now for the Lions. But first, they got to deal with yet another offensive attack by the Stormy Petrels.
Oglethorpe a throw in. Castro as well as Cook on it. Cash. Castro, now Asin. Asin able to put the back leg out in front of it. And it will be a Stormy Petrel throw in once more.
Oglethorpe utilizing their back line so well this entire game. Good little combination on the left sideline. Going to roll just out and going to result in a throw-in for the hands of Grant. Shirley has been in the midfield for the game, but has played like a defender as the Lions have had so many men in the defensive end. As Parker's going to send one up, trying to find the feet of Ferdinand, but not to be.
Grant now to Ferdinand. Ferdinand trying to find his way through. It's Ferdinand and Grant breaking through. And now the defense will kick it to their man in the middle.
Oglethorpe moving the ball so well. Lions waiting for the slip up, which has been so far and few with the Oglethorpe Stormy Petrels. There's another combination here. Going to be between two of the Stormy Petrels. Ball on top of the 18. Tried to find the chip back inside. Looking once again for Veglia, but not to be. He was trying to get his second of the evening to match up with Alram.
Parker, as well as now Shirley swarming on that one. Looks like someone took a hit there. He's down on the ground. Jacome tries to show the good sportsmanship and offer in hand.
Off the body of number 11, that's going to be Adrian Levy. Of course, hitting your teammate doesn't usually help you, and of course this time it's going to end up as a goal kick for Bobby Wood, who's definitely getting a leg workout in today. A lot of goal kicks for him as he continues to be active all throughout the afternoon. It's been not the best day for Bobby Wood. Of course, he's doing everything he can, but some extremely well-placed shots have found the back of his net as a tackle from behind by Shirley, going to result in just a foul call, nothing more than that. Of course, we know he's already on a yellow card, so a little bit of a risky maneuver there, but again, clock's ticking down. A bit of aggression needs to be let out. I can understand that tackle.
Yeah, just trying anything to stop him. Just slow up any sort of momentum. Big boot, and it was right off the bar on the right side. Ball's still well in play, well in the box. Castro looking to clear it. He's all over it, trying to put it out. Oglethorpe looking to wrestle it back near the line. Castro will control a little bit here, and Cook will clear it. Ferdinand had an opportunity there. Flags up. And will result in a throw-in for Piedmont, who might be pressing a little bit here, maneuvering all their men to the top half, trying to get some clock back. As Parker, unable to get that one, will go all the way to the back line. Now Cash. Cash trying to clear it up to Parker. Parker watches it over his head. Ruiz as well as Grant pressing on it now. Grant trying to win the one-on-one. Still going on near the line. Grant measuring it, and something fancy tried by the Petrels didn't exactly work out for him.
Tried to show off a bit of the technical prowess. Unfortunately, just kicked the ball into his butt as a result of that showboating. So no beat by Grant there. And to quickly mention, as we're about to find ourselves on the 5-minute mark, Castro has been such a spark plug for the Lions. He's done such a great job being popped in for whether it was forward, midfield, or this time on the left wing. So credit to him for a great performance here today.
Most definitely. Parker getting a jersey, holding on him. Should say held. And a yellow card presented.
A bit too long and a bit too unnecessary in the eyes of the referee. So first yellow card going to be presented, if I'm not mistaken, to the Stormy Petrels. Of course, the Lions have a pair of their own to worry about. Doesn't seem like it's going to end up as a red for either of those two players, and I believe the ball may just be called back to Bobby Wood. potentially arguing that the ball was still rolling.
That's the second yellow card on Oglethorpe. The first was presented to Ama, and that one over on Garen Presnell. Wood across to the left side, looking to change the eyesight of Oglethorpe, who flies in with a good header to put it directly into the ground. Good job by Castro to stay tough on that one. Taking the flop momentarily is a Petrel. He's back on his feet now. Castro trying to get a shot in. It's crossed out. Now Lions trying to push back onto that one and get it back within the box. Shirley unable to find it, and Oglethorpe will put it back into their defense. And just like that, Oglethorpe finds their way back across the midfield line after it looked like the Lions might threaten something here.
Veglia going to send that one back to the Oglethorpe midfield. Oglethorpe has done such a good job dominating possession and really establishing themselves on the inside, which has opened up lanes to the outside. That was our big concern and thought wouldn't be with Austin making his return here today, but unfortunately the Petrels just had a bit more of an established front when it comes to the midfield.
And a really good set of defensive blocks there by Piedmont. Job still not finished as they got to get that ball out, and they will.
Officially under 3 minutes now left in this game. Lions trying to hold on to the remainder of their dignity here. Don't want to give up another goal to increase that lead to 5. They've done well against set pieces so far. None of their goals have the first one resulted in a set piece. A good backdoor cut by Al-Ram is what set up their opening goal. But other than that, their defensive prowess on the set pieces has been fantastic. Ball going to be swung in here. Bicycle kick once again attempted by Oglethorpe. No connection there, but Oglethorpe does retain possession, and Lions still need to set themselves up defensively.
Bobby Wood will grab that one. Just take it himself. Huge kick. Ferdinand on the other end of it, looking to race for it. Jonathan Ferdinand now with possession, and Mejia comes in and makes the grab.
Good defensive shielding there by Maxwell Hughes in the green shoes. Definitely didn't say that just to rhyme, but honestly, great job dealing with the big frame of Jonathan Ferdinand, and good shutdown there. What an incredible punt, though, from Bobby Wood. Cleared that thing, nearly made it the length of the field. Probably would have rolled out that far had it had the chance for Nicholas Mejia to grab it.
Ferdinand, a little bit more aggressive on the back line. Still jog back to his spot. Parker. Ricardo Ruiz. Shirley now, as well as Castro, watching that ball on the left side. Castro trying to move his way in. It'll get past Shirley and himself. Cook looked like he was measuring to possibly make a play there, and Asin gets a touch on it, and it'll go right into the hands of Wood once more.
And as we enter about the last 30 seconds of the game, I think it's now is a good time, Eric, to kind of just hear your thoughts about how this afternoon has been. Obviously, the score, not what anyone tuning in to Piedmont University Athletics would have wanted to see, but what are your biggest takeaways here for the Lions?
It's definitely a different squad, it seems, than we saw the first couple games versus the Owls and, of course, the Vikings. Definitely a different game feel. The offense was there. The defense was certainly there. But definitely today, missing a couple of key players, it shows. But you can only make that excuse for so long. Just bottom line today, the defense for the Lions didn't execute. Didn't come through when it needed to, and Wood was just stretched so thin and was going to be forced to make some plays that only the best in the world are able to make. And Bobby Wood's good. Unfortunately, the Petrels got the better of him here, or the Petrels got the better of him here today, as it's 4-0. And of course, the offense, we talked about it so much as more or less running into a wall. Something has to change, whether that be Colin Vogel coming back or whether that be giving someone else an opportunity up top with Davis Knight. The same execution cannot be put throughout, as there was absolutely no offense on the Lions' behalf. Even the small idea that you think there might be offense was quickly swatted out of the air. So for next game, you definitely look at it and say, all right, what are we going to change? Because this is a 3-game slide now. Obviously, when they lost to Johnson & Wales, it was clearly just a big physical team. But this is a team that you feel like you could have matched up a little better with on paper, seeing as though how you performed against Barry, who also has some demons in the closet against the Lions, but they are able to rattle those demons, rattle that cage a little bit to draw a draw. But here, just completely shut out, 4-0. Things are going to have to be talked about.
Yeah, offense, definitely the big concern across these last couple of games. Just 2 goals in 3 matchups. And now across those 3 matchups, a goal differential of -11. Of course, 3-0 to Johnson & Wales, 5-2 to Pfeiffer. And this evening, 4-0 in favor of Oglethorpe. So a rough stretch of games, as you were saying. And while for me, the biggest takeaway, honestly, is the shift in formation, because when we were watching them play Johnson & Wales, they had 2 up top. Of course, it was Vogel and Grant for the majority of that game. They shifted in Ferdinand a couple times, and I think Castro got the nod every now and then there as well. But for this entire game, you had Davis Knight sitting on an island. I understand the intention is to have more men back to deal with a very dangerous, evidently scary offense that the Stormy Petrels have, but you have to hit a breaking point at some point in my eyes where, okay, this offense is going to generate attacks, whether we put all 10 men back or we just have 3. You need to figure out when it's time to shift someone forward, because we saw Davis Knight or Ferdinand or Castro, all 3 of them really, they had a couple opportunities each individually, but they weren't able to really get a serious threatening attacking chance, and that's because they were just getting hounded by Ama and a couple other Stormy Petrels because they always had the defensive advantage in numbers. So I think it's time to take a look at shifting and keeping at least 2 strikers, or have 2 wingers keep those outside men up a little bit further, because we saw Nowak and Parker almost on the same line as players like Jacome and Grant, because they were playing that deep defensively. So either shift up the wingers, make it sort of a 3-man attack using the width, or you just set up with 2 strikers and take your risk defensively.
Right. Something else I feel like might have to be looked at is the shooting. We see this attack from them. It's the diagonal attack, the diagonal cross approach. I've seen executed very well on multiples of those, but unfortunately unable to find it. So maybe a little bit more horizontal movement, those short, quick passes that did get them a couple chances in the first half. Maybe we see those a little bit more. But that's going to do us here for Eric Edmondson, Simon Johnstone, the rest of our crew, Grant Prather, our cameraman out there. Final score from the Walker Athletic Complex. Oglethorpe takes the day, 4-0. Good shots on them. Big ups to that squad. They did come here ready to play. So, we'll see you later this week. Once again, Eric Edmondson, Simon Johnstone, Grant Prather, and for our boss, Danielle Percival. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your afternoon. Been Piedmont Lions on YouTube. We'll see you next time.